If you are on the ground, God help you. If you are in a basement, stop listening and start climbing. Do not pack a bag. Do not look for your keys. Just climb. Find stairs. Find a ladder. Find a roof. My name is Leo Garris. I was, a window cleaner for the Omnicorp Tower. I am currently recording this on my phone, strapped to a maintenance platform 82 stories above what used to be Fifth Avenue. I can't look down anymore. My brain refuses to process the geometry of it. You know that nightmare where you try to run but your legs are stuck in molasses? Where the harder you fight, the deeper you sink. That isn't a dream anymore. It's the physics of the new world. The city isn't burning. It's drowning. But not in water. It's drowning in itself. The street has turned into a soup. A grey, hungry slurry that is swallowing cars, buses and people. And it's getting deeper. The silence is the worst part. Water splashes. Fire roars. But this sludge? It suffocates sound. It wraps around a scream and swallows it whole. Let me back up. You need to know how it started, so you know what to look for. It was 8 a.m. on a Tuesday. A perfect, crisp autumn morning. The kind of day where the sky is so blue it hurts your eyes. I was on the rig, the suspended scaffolding we use to clean the glass, with my partner, Dovi. We were working the east face of the Omni, specifically the executive suites on the 80th floor. Up there, the city looks like a circuit board. Taxis are yellow pixels. Pedestrians are ants. It's detached, peaceful. The wind cuts out the noise of the traffic. Dovi was complaining about his rent, scrubbing a bird dropping off a pane of reinforced glass. "I'm telling you, Leo," he said, dipping his squeegee into the bucket. "The landlord says the foundation is settling. My door won't close properly. The whole building feels soft." I laughed at him. "It's an old building, Dovi. Bricks settle." "No," he said, looking down at the street. "It feels like the ground is tired." I didn't think anything of it. I adjusted my harness, checked my carabiners. I trusted my ropes. I trusted the steel bolts anchored into the roof. I trusted that the ground down there was solid rock. I was wrong. It started at 8:45. I was looking down, checking the alignment of our ropes. The traffic on Fifth Avenue was heavy. Gridlock. Then I saw the ripple. It looked like someone had dropped a stone into a pond, but the pond was made of asphalt. A wave, a physical wave of grey road, rolled down the avenue. It wasn't an earthquake. Earthquakes shake. They rattle. This was fluid. The road surface undulated. I watched a city bus, the number 42, suddenly pitch forward. Its front wheels didn't pop. They sank. The asphalt just opened up and swallowed the front axle. The back of the bus lifted into the air, 10 feet off the ground, like the Titanic going down. "Dovi," I said, my voice cracking. "Look." Dovi leaned over the rail. "What the hell? Is that a sinkhole?" "It's too big," I whispered. It wasn't just the bus. Behind it, a line of taxis began to list to the side. They weren't crashing. They were bogging down. The road wasn't cracking. It was turning into pudding. I grabbed my binoculars, we keep them to check for cracks in the facade, and focused on the intersection. The detail is what haunts me. I saw a man in a grey suit. He had just stepped off the curb. He wasn't running. He was looking at his shoes. His feet had vanished. The sidewalk, the concrete slabs, had turned into a thick grey paste. He tried to pull his left leg out, but the suction held him. He dropped his briefcase. The briefcase didn't land with a thud. It landed with a plop and slowly began to sink. The man started to scream. I couldn't hear him from 80 floors up, but I saw his mouth open. I saw the panic in his body language. He flailed, trying to swim in the sidewalk. People rushed over to help him. That was the tragedy. 3 people ran out from a coffee shop. As soon as they stepped onto the pavement, they stopped. Their momentum died. Their ankles disappeared. It was like watching flies land on flypaper. Log entry, Hour 1. Within 20 minutes, the illusion of a solid city was gone. The change spread outward from the center of the avenue like a virus. It hit the buildings next. Directly across from us is the staggering, old brick architecture of the St. Jude Library. A beautiful building. Roman pillars. Massive stone steps. I watched the steps melt. It didn't explode. It didn't crumble. It slumped. The stone stairs lost their shape, turning into a grey landslide of wet mortar. The massive stone lions guarding the entrance simply sank into their pedestals. And then, the sound reached us. It was a low-frequency vibration. Not a rumble, but a gurgle. Like a stomach growling, but amplified 1,000,000 times. The sound of the earth digesting the city. The Omni Tower, our tower, shuddered. The rig swung violently away from the glass. Dovey screamed, grabbing the railing. We swung out 20 feet over the abyss, then slammed back into the window. Crack. The impact cracked the glass of the 80th floor. The anchors! Dovey yelled, looking up at the roof. Leo, are the roof anchors holding? I looked up. The ropes were tight, taut as piano strings. But the building itself was groaning. I looked down again. The street level was gone. Fifth Avenue was now a river of mud, debris, and sinking metal. The grey sludge was rising. It was already at the second-floor windows of the smaller shops. It wasn't water flooding in. It was the ground bubbling up. The density of the soil had changed. The bedrock had turned to broth. The smaller buildings, the 3-story brownstones, were the first to go. I watched a cafe collapse. It didn't fall over. It was sucked down. The mud rose up the walls, blew out the windows, and dragged the roof down with it. It looked like a ship slipping beneath the waves. A cloud of dust rose up, but it wasn't dry dust. It was wet, heavy mist. It smelled of sewage and ancient rot. Log entry, Hour 2. Dovey was crying. He was curled up in the corner of the scaffolding basket, clutching his radio. "Dispatch isn't answering," he sobbed. "My wife works on the ground floor. She works at the bank on 3rd. Leo, she's on the ground floor." I didn't have the heart to tell him. There is no ground floor anymore. I tried to be rational. I'm the lead rigger. It's my job to assess structural integrity. "We're safe here," I told him, though my voice was shaking. "The Omni is built on deep piles. Steel friction piles driven into the bedrock. We won't sink." But deep down I wondered, does the bedrock even exist anymore? I looked at the horizon. It wasn't just our block. It was the whole city. I saw plumes of wet dust rising from the financial district. I saw the spire of the Chrysler building tilting, just slightly, maybe 2 degrees. But a skyscraper shouldn't tilt. Then I saw the people. The ones who had been on the street were gone, swallowed. But the people in the buildings were reacting. They were smashing windows on the lower floors. I saw office workers climbing out onto fire escapes on the 5th and 6th floors. They were looking down at the grey ocean rising beneath them. The mud was aggressive. It wasn't passive. It bubbled. Massive bubbles, the size of cars, would rise to the surface and burst with a sickening pop, spraying sludge everywhere. I saw a man on a 4th-floor balcony. He was holding a child. The mud was licking at the bottom of the balcony. He looked up. He looked right at me, 80 floors above him. He waved. A slow, desperate wave. Then the foundation of his building gave way. The entire apartment block sheared off. It slid vertically, straight down into the earth. 1 second he was there. The next, there was just a whirlpool of grey slurry. The building was gone. Consumed. The displacement caused a wave of mud to crash into the lobby of our tower. Boom. The impact shook the Omni again. This time, the rig dropped. One of the motors on our scaffolding winch whined and seized. The left side of our basket dropped 3 feet. Dovey slid across the metal grating. He wasn't clipped in properly. He had unclipped to reach the radio. Davy! I lunged for him. He hit the railing. The basket swung wildly in the wind. He looked at me. His eyes were wide, white circles of terror. "It's soft," he whispered. "Everything is soft." The basket jerked again. Dovey tumbled over the rail. I didn't scream. My throat closed up. I watched him fall. It takes a long time to fall 80 stories. He looked like a rag doll. I waited for the impact. I waited for the gruesome splatter on the pavement that I had always feared in this job. But there was no splatter. He hit the grey surface of the street. And he vanished. No bounce. No break. He just entered the earth. The mud swallowed him instantly with a small ripple, like a pebble thrown into deep dough. I was alone. I sat on the tilted metal floor of the basket, gripping the mesh until my fingers bled. I checked my own harness. Triple locked. I looked at the window in front of me. The 80th floor executive suite. The glass was cracked from the earlier impact, but it was still holding. Inside, I could see an office. Mahogany desk. Leather chairs. A terrified secretary pressing her hands against the glass, looking at me. She was mouthing something. "Help me." I pointed up. "Go up." She shook her head. She pointed at the door behind her. I squinted. Under the crack of the door to the hallway, grey sludge was seeping in. The mud wasn't just outside. It was inside. It was coming up the elevator shafts. It was being pumped up the plumbing. The building's own arteries were filling with the earth. Log entry, hour 3. I couldn't stay on the rig. The motor was smoking. If the other cable snapped, I'd be dangling by my emergency line, bashing against the building. I had to get inside. Or onto the roof. The roof was closer. Only 10 stories up. I made a decision. I activated the manual ascenders on my harness. I detached from the basket and transferred my weight to the safety lines. I am dangling in free space now. Just a rope and gravity. The wind is picking up. It smells wet. It smells like a grave that's been opened after 100 years. I started pulling myself up, inch by inch. As I climbed past the 85th floor, I looked inside the windows. I saw chaos. People fighting for the stairs. People smashing vending machines for water. But on the 88th floor, I saw something that stopped me cold. It was a boardroom. Empty. But the floor. The floor of the boardroom was rippling. The carpet was moving. I watched as the floor dissolved. The concrete slab beneath the carpet turned to liquid. The heavy conference table sank into the floor as if it was sinking into water. It's not just the ground level. The concrete of the building itself is losing cohesion. The softening is contagious. It's traveling up the structure. If the steel frame holds, the building might stand. But the floors, the walls, they are turning to mush. I reached the roof parapet 5 minutes ago. I hauled myself over the edge, collapsing onto the gravel surface of the roof. I stood up and looked out at the city. It's gone. New York, Chicago. Whatever this city was, it's a swamp. Skyscrapers are leaning at crazy angles, like drunkards trying to hold each other up. The Empire State Building is sinking. I can see the observation deck is now level with the 40th floor of my building. And the noise. It's a chorus of groaning metal and screaming sirens that have nowhere to go. But the scariest thing isn't what I see. It's what I feel through my boots. The roof of the Omni Tower. The gravel under my feet. It feels spongy. I took a step just now, and my boot left a print. Not in dust. In the concrete roof deck. The rot is here. It's at the top. There is nowhere left to climb. Wait. I see something. To the north. The Vertex Tower. The new megastructure. It's connected to ours by a skybridge on the 60th floor. The Vertex looks stable. It's made of a new composite alloy, not concrete. It's standing straight. But to get there, I have to go down. I have to go down 20 floors into the sinking building, find the skybridge, and cross it before this tower turns into a pillar of mud. I'm packing my gear. I have a squeegee, a window-breaking hammer, and 50 feet of rope. I'm going back in. I am inside. I wish I had stayed on the roof. The roof was terrifying, but at least the sky was open. Inside. Inside is a tomb that hasn't finished closing yet. I accessed the maintenance stairwell on the 90th floor. The steel door was jammed. Not locked, jammed. The door frame had warped. The rectangular shape had become a parallelogram as the building began to list. I had to use the window hammer to smash the locking mechanism, then pry it open with the squeegee handle. When the door popped open, the air rushed out. It didn't smell like an office building. It didn't smell like floor wax and recycled AC air. It smelled like a wet basement. It smelled like wet sheetrock and damp earth. I stepped onto the landing of the 90th floor. My boot didn't make a clack on the concrete. It made a squelch. I looked down. The concrete landing, the solid slab that holds up the emergency stairs, had the consistency of old Play-Doh. My Vibram soles sank about half an inch deep. When I lifted my foot, the concrete stuck to the rubber, pulling up in little grey peaks before slumping back down. I realized then, I can't walk on the floors. If I stand still, I'll sink. If I sink past my ankles, the suction will trap me. I have to move like an insect. I jumped to the railing. Thank God for the fire codes. The railings are steel. They are bolted into the wall studs, which are also steel. The metal frame of the building is holding, even if the flesh of the building is rotting. So, this is how I'm descending. I am vaulting down the stairwell, hand over hand on the railings, keeping my feet on the metal stringers, avoiding the concrete steps whenever I can. I am an ape in a steel cage. Log entry, hour 4.5. The power is dying. The overhead fluorescents are flickering, buzzing like angry wasps. Every time they flash, I see the walls. The drywall is sagging. The paint is stretching like skin over a blister. I reached the 85th floor landing. I stopped to catch my breath. The silence here is heavy. The screaming from the lower floors drifts up the shaft like a ghost, but up here, it's just the sound of the building. Settling. Creak. Groan. Pop. I heard a noise behind the fire door of the 85th floor. Someone was crying. "Hello," I called out. "This is a rescue check. Do not open the door." The crying stopped. Then, a voice. A woman. The floor. It ate my shoes. I hesitated. I looked at the gap under the door. Grey sludge was oozing out into the stairwell. It was thick, moving with the viscosity of lava. It wasn't just mud. It was carpet, desk chairs, and paperwork, all ground up into a paste. "Stay on the furniture," I yelled through the door. "Climb on the desks. Don't touch the floor." "I can't," she whimpered. "The desks are sinking too." I put my hand on the door handle. It was warm. The friction of the building shifting was generating heat. I tried to turn it. Locked. Or fused. "Listen to me," I shouted. "Is there a window? Can you get to the window?" "Yes." "Break it. Get fresh air. Don't let the room seal you in." I heard a crash inside. Then the sound of wind. I couldn't help her. I have no tools to cut through a steel door that's being crushed by the weight of the ceiling. I felt sick. A heavy, leaden guilt in my gut. But guilt is heavy, and I need to be light. I kept moving down. I hit the blockade at floor 78. The stairwell is gone. The concrete landing between the 78th and 77th floors must have softened too much. It simply detached from the rebar and slid down the shaft. There is a gap of 20 feet. Below me, I can see a pile of rubble, wet, grey rubble, jammed into the stairwell on floor 75. And in that pile, I see shapes, clothes, a blue blazer, a red scarf. People were using the stairs when the landing gave way. They rode the landslide down. They are buried in the wet concrete. I can see a hand sticking out of the slurry. It's not moving. I can't go down the stairs anymore. I'm standing on the railing of the 78th floor landing, looking into the void. The walls of the stairwell are sweating. Rivulets of dirty water are running down the paint. I have to go into the hallway. I have to find another way down. The elevator shaft. I used the hammer to smash the small window in the fire door. I reached through, unlocked the bar, and shoved the door open. It swung inward with a wet-sucking sound. I stepped into the 78th floor. This is, or was, legal and compliance. High-end offices. Glass walls. The scene is surreal. The floor is uneven. It looks like a rolling sea frozen in time. The grey carpeting is saturated with the liquefied concrete beneath it. I saw a photocopier, a massive Xerox machine, half submerged in the floor. It was buzzing, the light flashing, trying to print a document while drowning in the carpet. There was a man standing on a filing cabinet. He was wearing a suit that cost more than my annual salary. He was clutching a golf club. "Get back!" he screamed at me. He swung the club at the air. "I have rights. This is my office." "I'm not here for your office," I said, keeping my distance. I stayed on the metal threshold of the door. "I need to get to the elevator bank." "The elevators are dead," he yelled. His eyes were manic. He pointed the golf club at the corner of the room. There was a woman there. She was stuck. She had sunk up to her waist in the floor. The grey sludge was tight around her hips. She wasn't struggling anymore. She was just leaning forward, her hands flat on the sludge, breathing shallowly. "Help me," she whispered. Her voice was barely audible. I looked at the distance. 10 feet of unstable floor between me and her. "Throw me a rope," she said. I looked at my pack. "I have the rope." "If I pull you," I said, "the suction, it might break your legs." "I don't care," she sobbed. "Please. It's cold. It's so cold down there." I uncoiled the rope. I tied a bowline knot. I tossed it to her. She grabbed it. "Wrap it around your chest," I yelled. "Under your arms." She did. I wrapped the other end around the metal door handle of the fire exit. "My anchor." "Okay," I said. "On 3. Push with your hands. 1, 2, 3. I pulled. The rope went taut. She screamed. A sharp, ragged shriek. The floor didn't want to let go. The viscosity was insane. It was like trying to pull a spoon out of a jar of cold honey. I leaned back, putting my weight into it. My boots slipped on the metal threshold. "Pull!" she screamed. I gave one massive heave. There was a sound like a suction cup popping. Such luck. She came free. But not all of her. She slid across the grey sludge, gasping, covered in muck. I dragged her to the doorway. I pulled her onto the metal stairs. She looked down at her legs. Her shoes were gone. Her pants were shredded. And her skin, the skin on her shins was grey. Not dirty. Grey. The pores were gone. The skin looked smooth, like wet clay. She touched her leg. She pressed her thumb into her shin. The thumb left an indentation that didn't bounce back. "I can't feel it," she whispered. "My legs. They're soft." I stared in horror. The softening isn't just the building. It's organic too. Or maybe the chemical reaction in the concrete burns the skin. "We have to go," I said, my voice trembling. "Can you walk?" She tried to stand. Her legs buckled. They didn't break. They bent. Like rubber. She screamed again, staring at her own limbs which were curving at impossible angles. The man on the filing cabinet started laughing. A high, broken hyena laugh. See, you can't leave. The building wants us." I looked at the woman. I looked at the hallway leading to the elevators. "I'm sorry," I whispered. "I'm so sorry. I left her on the landing. I couldn't carry her. I couldn't carry a person whose bones were turning to jelly. I am a coward. I know that. But I am a coward who wants to live." I ran back into the hallway, jumping from a fallen bookshelf to a desk, making my way to the central core. Log entry, hour 5. I reached the elevator bank. The polished steel doors were buckled. The frame of the building had compressed, squeezing the doors shut. I used the crowbar end of my window hammer. I jammed it into the seam and pried. The doors groaned and popped open about 18 inches, enough to squeeze through. I looked into the shaft. Darkness, but not silence. Far below, maybe 50 floors down, I could hear the gurgle. The sludge is rising up the shaft. The cables for car 3 were hanging slack. The car must be at the bottom, crushed or submerged. But the cables for car 4 were taut. The car is stuck somewhere above me. This is my route. I clipped my rappel device, my figure 8, onto my main rope. I anchored the rope to a steel I-beam in the elevator lobby ceiling. I tested it. It held. I backed into the shaft. The vertigo hit me instantly. I'm used to hanging off buildings, but inside a building? It feels wrong. The air is stagnant. It smells of grease and fear. I started to rappel. Kick off the wall. Slide down 10 feet. Brake. Kick off. Slide. I passed the 75th floor doors. Closed. Past the 70th. Closed. At the 65th floor, the doors were open. I swung past the opening and caught a glimpse of the interior. It was on fire. But the fire wasn't spreading. The floor was so wet, so saturated with the sludge, that the fire was just sitting on top of the mud, burning the furniture that hadn't sunk yet. The smoke was thick, banking up against the ceiling. I kept going down. My rope is 200 feet long. That gets me about 15 floors. I need to reach 60. I checked my altimeter watch. Floor 62. Almost there. Then, the cable next to me, the thick, braided steel cable holding the elevator car above, made a sound. Twang. A single strand of wire snapped. It whipped through the air like a bullet, slashing past my face. It hit the concrete wall of the shaft, sparking. I looked up. The elevator car above me. The brakes are failing. The guide rails are softening. The car is slipping. Screech. The sound of metal grinding on metal echoed down the shaft like a banshee. I dropped. I released the brake on my rappel device and free fell. I burned my hand on the rope. I didn't care. Floor 61. Floor 60. The doors were closed. I kicked off the back wall of the shaft, swung across the void, and slammed my boots into the doors of the 60th floor. Bang! They didn't budge. Above me, the screeching got louder. Sparks were raining down the shaft now. A shower of golden fire. Come on! I screamed. I kicked again. Harder, aiming for the center seam. The doors bent inward. I wedged my fingers into the gap. I pulled. My muscles screamed. The adrenaline gave me strength I didn't know I had. I forced them open just wide enough to get my head and shoulders through. I unclipped from the rope. I wriggled through the gap. I fell onto the floor of the 60th floor lobby. Boom! Behind me, in the shaft, a massive wind blast hit the doors. The elevator car from above came crashing down. It flew past the 60th floor like a meteor. I felt the vibration rattle my teeth. Then, a second later, a dull, wet thud from far below. It hit the mud. I lay on the floor, gasping. I checked my hand. The rope burn is bad. A strip of raw red flesh across my palm. But my legs are still solid. I stood up. I am on the 60th floor. This is the transfer level. I ran to the north windows. There it is. The skybridge. It's a glass and steel tube, about 50 yards long, connecting the Omni Tower to the Vertex Tower. It looks wrong. The Omni is tilting south. The Vertex is standing straight. The bridge is twisting. The steel truss is torqued. The glass panels on the left side have shattered, leaving the bridge open to the wind. But it's still connected. I walked toward the entrance of the bridge. The floor here is bad. The carpet is squishy. I can see footprints from others who came this way. But the footprints stop. Why do they stop? I stopped at the threshold of the bridge. The wind is howling through the broken glass, whistling a low, eerie note. I looked across to the Vertex Tower. There are people in the windows over there. They are holding signs. Do not cross. Why? I stepped onto the bridge. The floor of the bridge is made of steel grating, covered in a thin layer of decorative concrete. As soon as I put my weight on it, the bridge groaned. A deep, resonant bass note. I looked down through the grating. I can see the street, or what used to be the street. It's a grey river now, and it's rising. It swallowed the first 20 floors of the building. But that's not the problem. The problem is the anchor points, where the bridge connects to my building, the Omni. The wall is dissolving. The massive steel bolts holding the bridge are pulling out of the soft concrete. They are sliding out like nails from wet wood. The bridge is hanging by a thread. I have 50 yards to run. If I run, the vibration might dislodge the bolts. If I stay here, the Omni takes me down. I took a breath. I tightened my pack. I stepped forward, and then I saw it, blocking the middle of the bridge. It wasn't a person. It was a mound, a hump of grey, pulsating sludge in the center of the walkway. It was moving. It was flowing uphill, against gravity. It was coming from the vertex side. It rose up. It formed a shape, roughly human, but no face, just a smooth, grey thumb of a head. It lunged at a piece of debris, a shoe left on the bridge, and absorbed it. Instantly. It's not just mud. It's a predator. The earth has woken up, and it is hungry. I'm standing at the start of the bridge. The predator is in the middle. The bolts are slipping behind me. I have my window squeegee. I have my rope. I have to cross. Log entry, hour 5.5. I am looking at the end of the world, and it looks like a grey slug. I am standing at the threshold of the skybridge. 50 yards of tilting steel between me and the vertex tower, between me and survival, and in the middle, blocking the path, is it. I called it a predator before. That's not quite right. A predator hunts. This thing just absorbs. It's a mound of sludge, maybe 4 feet high, rippling across the metal grating of the bridge. But as I stare at it, freezing in the doorway, I realize what it's made of. It's not just mud. I see the sleeve of a blue suit jacket swirling in the grey paste. I see a red high-heel shoe surfacing and sinking like a drowning swimmer. I see teeth. A cluster of human teeth, white and pristine, embedded in the grey slime like gravel in concrete. It's a collection. A biomass gravity well. It has absorbed people from the vertex side, or maybe the Omni side, and now it's stuck in the middle, confused, hungry for more mass. The bridge shudders under my feet. Crack. Behind me, at the Omni connection point, the first bolt shears. A rivet the size of a soda can pops out of the wall and flies past my head, smashing through the glass panel to my right. The bridge drops 6 inches. The sudden jolt wakes the thing up. The mound shifts. It doesn't have eyes, but it senses the vibration. It flows toward me. Not fast, but relentless, like a slow tide. I can't go back. The Omni is groaning, listing further south. If I stay here, I ride the building down into the muck. I have to jump over it. The bridge is narrow, maybe 6 feet wide. The thing takes up 4 feet in the center. There's a gap on the left. The glass is broken there, a sheer drop into the abyss. But there's a steel railing. I look at the railing. It's thin, tubular steel. If I can hop onto the railing, tightrope walk past the thing, and jump to the other side, I'm an alpinist. I live on narrow ledges. I can do this. I take a breath. The air tastes of wet plaster and copper. Okay, I whisper. Don't look down. Don't look at the teeth. I step onto the bridge. Log entry. Hour 5.75. I move fast. I sprint the first 10 yards. The vibration of my boots on the grating drives the thing crazy. It rears up, extending a pseudopod of grey slime toward me. It creates a barrier. It knows I'm coming. I reach the gap in the glass. I grab the top rail. It's slick with condensation. I vault up, balancing my boots on the round steel tube. I am hanging over the city. I look down. Stupid reflex. The street is gone. The grey river has risen to the 30th floor of the Omni. I can see the tops of streetlights disappearing into the soup. I focus on the rail. Step. Slide. Step. Slide. I'm right next to the thing now. Up close. The smell is unbearable. It smells like a butcher shop left in the sun, masked by the scent of wet cement. I hear a sound coming from the mound. It's not a roar. It's a babble. Thousands of tiny, wet pops and squelches that sound like whispered voices. Help. Cold. Soft. A hand, a grey, skinless hand, shoots out of the sludge. It grabs my left boot. The grip is iron. It's not just sticky. It's heavy. It pulls. I scream, flailing my arms to keep balance. The rail vibrates. The thing is pulling me off the rail. It wants to add me to the collection. I have the squeegee in my belt. I rip it out. I stab the handle into the mass, right where the hand connects to the main body. I expect resistance. I expect it to feel like flesh. It feels like stabbing dough. Thick, dense dough. Let go. I scream. I kick with my right foot. I stomp on the grey hand. Squelch. The fingers detach. They don't break. They just separate from the mass like pulled taffy. The grip loosens. I throw my weight forward. I leap from the railing. I fly through the air, clearing the last few feet of the mound. I land on the grating on the other side. Hard. I roll, hitting my shoulder against the far wall of the bridge. I scramble up, turning around, ready to fight. But the thing isn't chasing me. It's stuck. It's reacting to the incline. The bridge is tilting steeper now. The Omni is sinking faster. The angle of the bridge is now 20 degrees downward toward the Omni. The thing is sliding backward. It's sliding back toward the sinking building. And then, the bridge screams. It's a sound I will hear in my grave. The sound of high-tensile steel tearing like paper. The remaining bolts on the Omni side give way. All at once. Bang, 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 bang. The Omni end of the bridge detaches. Gravity takes over. The 50-ton structure swings down. It's still attached to the vertex tower, my side, so it becomes a giant pendulum. I am holding onto the railing of the vertex side, watching the Omni side plummet. The thing, the mound of bodies, slides down the bridge. It picks up speed. It hits the end of the broken bridge and flies off into the void. I watch it fall. It doesn't scream. It just silently tumbles into the grey fog below. Clang. The bridge slams into the side of the vertex tower. It hangs vertically now, a broken ladder dangling against the glass. I am clinging to the threshold of the vertex, my legs dangling over the edge. I look across the gap. The Omni Tower is free. Without the bridge connecting it, it loses its last stabilizer. It begins to rotate. I watch my workplace, a 70-story monolith, slowly twist and sink. The glass facade ripples. The windows blow out in a chain reaction. Pop, 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 sending showers of glass into the mud below. The entire building groans, a deep, mournful sound like a dying whale, and accelerates its descent. It doesn't fall over. It sinks straight down. Floor 50. Floor 60. Floor 70. The roof passes my eye level. I see the gravel roof where I stood an hour ago. And then, it's gone. The spire of the Omni Tower slips beneath the surface of the grey sludge. A massive bubble of trapped air and dust erupts from the spot where it vanished. Then, silence. Just the grey ocean, rippling slightly. I pull myself up onto the floor of the vertex tower. I collapse on the carpet. The carpet is dry. The floor is level. I made it. Log entry, hour 6. I lay on the floor for 10 minutes, just listening to my heart try to batter its way out of my ribs. I checked my gear. My rope is frayed. My hammer is gone. Dropped it during the jump. My phone screen is cracked, but still recording. I stood up. The vertex tower is different. The Omni was an office block. Cubicles, coffee machines, fluorescent lights. The vertex is residential. Ultra-luxury. The lobby on the 60th floor, where the bridge connected, is a sky lounge. Marble floors. Real orchids in vases, now wilted. Velvet sofas. A grand piano in the corner. It's quiet. Dead quiet. Hello. I rasped. My throat is raw from the dust. No answer. I walked toward the center of the lounge. There is a bar. A bottle of expensive scotch had fallen off the shelf and shattered, but the puddle of liquid hadn't soaked into the floor. The marble is solid. Thank God. The softening hasn't reached here. I poured myself a glass of water from a pitcher on the bar. It was warm, stale, but it was water. I drank it in one gulp. Then I saw the mirror behind the bar. I looked at myself. I look like a coal miner. My face is coated in grey dust. My eyes are red-rimmed, wild. My harness is hanging off me. But there's something else. On my neck, right above the collar of my jacket, there is a patch of grey. I rubbed it. It didn't wipe off. I scrubbed harder. It wasn't dust. I leaned closer to the mirror. The skin on the side of my neck. It's smooth. Too smooth. The texture is gone. It looks like the skin of the woman I left on the 78th floor. I poked it. It felt numb, like when your foot falls asleep, but deep. The sensation of touch was muffled. Panic, cold and sharp, pierced through my exhaustion. I'm infected, or contaminated, or whatever this is. Is it the air? The dust? Did I touch something? I grabbed a napkin and scrubbed until the skin broke. Red blood welled up. Blood. Good. I'm still flesh. But the grey patch remained around the wound. It wasn't spreading fast, but it was there. A mark. I buttoned my collar all the way up. I can't think about that now. If I think about my skin turning to clay, I'll curl up in a ball and wait to die. I need to keep moving. I need to find people. I left the lounge and found the central elevator bank. Unlike the Omni, these elevators seem operational. The lights are on. The panel indicates emergency power. But I'm not getting in a metal box. Not ever again. I found the stairwell. Pristine. White walls. Bright LED lights on battery backup. I started climbing. I need to get higher. The mud rose to the 30th floor of the Omni before it sank. The vertex is on higher ground, geologically speaking, but the level is rising. I climbed 5 flights. Floor 65. I heard voices. I froze on the landing. Human voices. Calm voices. I opened the door to the 65th floor corridor. It was a residential hallway. Thick carpet, dry. Art on the walls. At the end of the hall, the door to an apartment was open. I walked toward it, gripping my squeegee handle like a weapon. Inside, there were 3 people. A man in a bathrobe, a woman holding a cat, and a teenager wearing headphones. They were standing by the floor-to-ceiling window, looking out. They didn't look terrified. They looked annoyed. "Excuse me," I said. They turned. They looked at me, the dirty, desperate window cleaner, with a mix of confusion and disgust. "You can't be in here," the man said. "This is a private residence." I blinked. The Omni just fell. The city is gone. Didn't you see it? "We felt the tremor," the woman said, stroking the cat. "It knocked over my vase. The management said the stabilizers would handle it." "Management?" I stepped into the room. "Lady, there is no management. The ground is liquid. We need to get to the roof. We need to signal for evac." The man laughed. A dry, dismissive snort. "Evac? To where?" "Look outside." I walked to the window. From this angle, facing north, I could see beyond the city limits, or where the limits used to be. The grey ocean stretched to the horizon. There were no hills, no bridges. The George Washington Bridge was gone. The Palisades were gone. It wasn't just the city. It was the world. "The internet is down," the teenager said, pulling off his headphones. "But the local mesh network is still up. People are posting from the penthouse. They say the vertex is designed for this." "Designed for what?" I asked. "For the apocalypse. For the shift," the man said. He walked over to a bookshelf and pulled out a brochure. He tossed it to me. I caught it. It was a glossy marketing pamphlet for the Vertex Tower. The tagline read, "Vertex, the first geostable arcology. Independent foundation. Self-sustaining. Future-proof." "You bought a condo in a bunker," I realized. "We bought security," the man said. "And you are tracking mud on my floor." I looked at his feet. He was wearing slippers. "Sir," I said quietly, "look at the corner of your room." He frowned. "What?" I pointed to the far corner, near the window. The drywall was bulging, just slightly. The paint was bubbling, and right at the baseboard, a tiny bead of grey liquid oozed out. The man stared at it. That must be a leak. A pipe burst." "It's not a pipe," I said. "The vertex isn't immune. It's just slower." I walked over to the wall. I pressed my finger against the bubble. It was soft. The wall yielded like wet cardboard. The woman screamed. "Don't touch it. It's already inside," I said. "Your geostable foundation is failing." The man's face went pale. The arrogance vanished, replaced by the same hollow look I'd seen on Dovey. "What do we do?" the teenager asked. "We climb," I said. "Top floor. The roof. If anyone is coming for us, they're coming from the sky." "I'm not leaving my things," the woman snapped. I looked at her. I saw the denial. "It's a powerful drug. Suit yourself," I said. "But when the floor gets soft, don't take your shoes off." I turned and walked out. Log entry, hour 6.5. I am on the 75th floor now. I didn't stay with the family. They wouldn't move. They started arguing about luggage. I'm resting in a maintenance alcove. I heard footsteps coming down the stairs. Heavy boots. Fast. I stood up, backing into the shadows. A woman burst through the door from the floor above. She wasn't a resident. She was wearing blue coveralls, a tool belt, and she was carrying a Geiger counter? No, something else. A scanner. She saw me. She didn't flinch. She pointed a flashlight in my face. Clean or soft? She barked. What? Are you soft? Show me your skin. I hesitated. I touched my collar. She stepped forward, grabbed my wrist, and yanked my sleeve up. She pressed the scanner against my arm. Beep. Trace amounts, she muttered. You're incubating, but you're mobile. She looked at my face. She had dark circles under her eyes, grease on her forehead. She looked like she hadn't slept in a week. Who are you? I asked. Caro, she said. Structural maintenance. Vertex North Sector. I came from the Omni, I said. It sank. I know, she said. I watched the seismic sensors. It pulled the water table down with it. That bought us maybe 2 hours. 2 hours until what? Until we tilt, Caro said. The vertex is built on a maglev dampening system. Magnets and hydraulics. It's supposed to float on seismic events. But this isn't seismic. It's chemical. She pulled a tablet out of her bag. She showed me a schematic of the tower. The base of the tower was glowing red on the screen. The mud is acidic, she said. It's eating the magnetic coils. Once the dampeners fail, the building drops onto the bedrock. But the bedrock is gone. So we drop into the soup. So we go to the roof, I said. Get a helicopter. Caro laughed. A bitter, sharp sound. There are no helicopters. Window cleaner. The air density has changed. The humidity from the evaporation is clogging intakes. Engines stall below 5,000 feet. Then what are we doing? I shouted. Just waiting to drown? No, Caro said. She looked up at the ceiling. We aren't going to the roof. We're going to the spire. The antenna? It's not an antenna, Caro said. It's a tether. She tapped the screen again. She zoomed out. Above the vertex tower, on the schematic, there was a line going up. Way up. Into the sky. Project Skyhook, Caro whispered. It was a prototype. A blimp. A massive, solar-powered atmospheric station, tethered to the top of this building. It's meant to stabilize the tower in high winds. A blimp. An ark, she corrected. It's docked at the spire. 100th floor. If we can get to the winch room, we can release the locks. We can climb the cable. We can get onto the station. She looked at my harness. She looked at my rope. I need a climber, she said. The internal lift to the spire is jammed. We have to climb the outside of the crown. She shone the light on my face again. Can you climb sheer glass in a hurricane while the building dissolves beneath you? I touched the grey patch on my neck. I thought about Dovey falling. I thought about the woman sinking in the floor. I'm an alpinist, I said. I can climb anything. Good, Caro said. Here. She tossed me a roll of duct tape. Tape your wrists. Tape your boots. If the grey stuff touches you now, it speeds up the reaction. Seal yourself in. I started taping. We have 20 floors to go. she said. And the stairwell on 90 is compromised. Compromised how? The residents, she said darkly. The ones on the upper floors? They didn't just stay in their condos. They congregated. They think the softening is a rapture. They're blocking the way. I tightened the tape on my wrists. Then we go through them, I said. We are moving. I taped my wrists. I taped my ankles. I taped my collar shut. I feel like a mummy wrapped in silver duct tape and fear. Caro is fast. She climbs the stairs like a machine, checking her tablet every 2 floors. The tilt is increasing, she muttered on the 80th landing. 12 degrees. If we hit 15, the structural stress will snap the spire off before we even get to the airship. Don't tell me the odds, I wheezed. Just tell me which way. My neck itches. The grey patch. It's not a skin itch. It's deeper. It feels like ants are crawling under the muscle fibers. I keep rubbing it, but the tape blocks my fingers. The numbness is spreading down my shoulder. My left arm feels heavy. Not weak, just dense. We passed an apartment door on the 82nd floor that had burst open. Inside, the floor was rippling like water. A grand piano was slowly rotating in the center of the living room, sinking into the carpet. But it was the sound that stopped me. Plink, plink, plink. The keys were playing themselves. The pressure of the sludge pushing up from underneath was hitting the hammers. A ghostly, discordant melody echoing in the hallway. Keep moving, Caro grabbed my harness. Don't listen to it. It's beautiful, I whispered. Why did I say that? It wasn't beautiful. It was horrifying. But for a second, the sound made me want to walk into the room. It made me want to sit on the sinking bench. Caro slapped my helmet. Hard. That's the spores, she hissed. Or the pheromones. Whatever this sludge is releasing, it's psychotropic. It makes you want to join. Focus. Leo. Focus on the pain. She dug her thumb into a bruise on my arm. The sharp pain cleared my head. Right, I said, shaking it off. Up. We go up. Log entry. Hour 7.5. We reached the 90th floor. This is the blockage Caro warned me about. The 90th floor isn't just apartments. It's the Vertex Sky Garden. A 3-story atrium with real trees, a waterfall, and a massive glass ceiling. It's the crown jewel of the residential sector. The stairwell door was welded shut. Not by the building, but by people. I could see the burn marks on the hinges. We have to go through the main doors, Caro said, pointing to the freight elevator lobby. The service stairs connect on the other side of the garden. We pried the elevator doors open and stepped into the atrium. The smell hit us instantly. It didn't smell like the rot downstairs. It smelled sweet, overpoweringly sweet, like lilies and vanilla and warm milk. The humidity was 100%. A thick, white mist hung in the air. "Masks up," Caro whispered, pulling a respirator from her bag. She didn't have one for me. I pulled my shirt nose collar up, but I knew it was useless. We walked into the garden. The trees, Japanese maples and ficus, were wrong. Their bark had turned grey and smooth. Their leaves were drooping, dripping a thick white sap. And the people. There were maybe 50 of them. Residents. Staff. They weren't panicking. They weren't running. They were planted. In the center of the atrium, around the decorative fountain, they sat in a circle, holding hands. But where their hands touched, they had fused. I saw a man in a tuxedo holding the hand of a woman in a bathrobe. Their fingers had melted together into a single, fleshy lump. Their skin was the color of wet clay. They were sinking into the tiled floor. The tiles had softened, turning into a white, viscous paste. They were waist-deep in the building, and they were humming. A low, resonant hum. It harmonized with the groan of the dying steel beams overhead. "Don't touch them," Caro whispered. "Don't make eye contact." We tried to skirt the edge of the room, sticking to the marble wall. "Brothers!" A voice stopped us. It was the concierge, a tall man, impeccably dressed. He was standing, growing, out of the reception desk near the exit. His legs had merged with the mahogany wood. His torso rose out of the desk like a bust in a museum. He turned his head. His eyes were gone. The sockets were filled with smooth, grey skin. "Brothers," he smiled, a wide, beatific smile. "You are late for the confluence." "We're just passing through," I said, my voice trembling. I gripped my squeegee. "Why pass through?" the concierge asked. His voice was wet, bubbling. "There is nowhere to go. The world below is hard and sharp. The world here is soft. We are becoming the foundation." "We're going to the roof," Caro said, stepping forward with her scanner. "Move." "The roof is cold," the concierge crooned. "Here, it is warm. Look at them. No pain. No taxes. No loneliness." He gestured with a hand that had elongated, the fingers stretching out like tentacles, dripping sludge onto the floor. "Join us," he whispered. The humming in the room got louder. The 50 people in the circle turned their heads toward us in unison. "Join us," they chanted. "Softly. Be soft. Be still." I felt that pull again. The itch on my neck flared up. It felt like warm water was trickling down my spine. Why fight? I thought. My legs are so tired. The floor looks so comfortable. Caro grabbed my arm. "Leo, wake up." She pulled a flare from her belt. A red emergency road flare. She struck it. Hissus. The bright red magnesium light seared the misty air. The sweetness burned away, replaced by the smell of sulfur. The concierge screamed. It wasn't a human scream. It was the sound of boiling mud. "Fire!" he shrieked. "The hard heat. Stop them." The floor rippled. The people in the circle. They began to stretch. Their arms elongated like taffy. They didn't stand up. They couldn't. But their limbs shot out toward us, whipping through the air like wet ropes. "Run!" Caro yelled. She threw the flare at the concierge. It hit his wooden chest. The wood/flesh ignited instantly. He thrashed, his melting arms flailing. We sprinted. I stepped on a patch of soft floor. My boot sank. A hand grabbed my ankle. It was a woman, buried up to her neck in the tiles. She looked up at me. She didn't have a nose anymore, just a smooth grey surface. "Stay," she bubbled. I swung the squeegee. The brass head hit her wrist. Splat. It went right through. Her arm severed with zero resistance, like cutting warm butter. I yanked my foot free. We scrambled over the reception desk, dodging the burning, thrashing concierge. Caro kicked the service door open. We fell into the stairwell on the other side. Caro slammed the door and jammed the scanner handle through the crash bar. On the other side, bodies slammed against the metal. Soft, heavy thuds, like bags of wet sand being thrown against a wall. Thud, thud, thud. Join us! Join us! We scrambled up the stairs, lungs burning, not looking back. Log entry, hour 8. We made it to the 98th floor. The mechanical level. The stairs ended here. A ladder led up to a hatch in the ceiling. "This is it," Caro said. She was checking the tablet. Her hands were shaking. "The winch room is on 100, but the internal ladder is blocked. The shaft has collapsed. So we have to go out," she said. She pointed to a heavy, weather-sealed door marked roof access/spire maintenance. "We have to climb the exterior fins of the spire to reach the winch deck." I looked at the door. I could hear the wind outside. It sounded like a freight train. "Caro," I said. "The tilt. What is it?" She hesitated. 14 degrees. 14 degrees. That means the wall we have to climb isn't vertical anymore. It's overhanging. We'll be climbing on an inverted slope. "Do you have gear?" I asked. "I have a maintenance belt," she said. 2 lanyards. Big clips. "That's not climbing gear," I said. "That's fall arrest. It won't help you climb. It just snaps your spine if you fall." "It's all I have," she snapped. "You lead. Set the line. I'll follow." I checked my rope. It was frayed from the elevator shaft, but the core looked okay. I tied a figure-8 knot. I clipped it to Caro belt. "I go first," I said. "I'll wrap the rope around the structural fins. If you fall, I catch you. If I fall, we both go." She nodded. She looked at my neck. The grey patch had crept up behind my ear. I can't hear out of my left ear anymore. It feels like it's stuffed with cotton. "Leo," she said, if you get stuck out there." "I won't," I lied. I unlocked the hatch. I pushed the door open. The wind ripped it out of my hand and slammed it against the outer wall. Clang. The noise was deafening. The storm wasn't just wind. It was carrying debris. Dust, grit, bits of other buildings. I stepped out onto a narrow metal grate. The view. My God. The Vertex Tower is a lonely island in a grey sea. Below us, the clouds of dust swirled. The tops of a few other skyscrapers poked out like tombstones, but most were gone. The horizon was a blurred line of sludge and sky, and we were leaning. The tower felt like a ship about to capsize. Above us rose the spire, a lattice of white steel and glass, tapering to a point 200 feet up, and attached to the very top, stretching up into the clouds, was a thick black cable. The tether. I couldn't see the airship. It was lost in the cloud layer above. But the cable was taut. It was pulling the building. "Go!" Caro yelled over the wind. I reached up. I grabbed the steel lattice. It was cold. Freezing. Ice had formed on the metal. I pulled myself up. My left arm, the infected one, felt numb but strong. Strangely strong. I gripped the steel bar, and my fingers didn't just hold it. They seemed to mold to it. The grey skin on my palm softened slightly, creating a vacuum seal against the metal. I didn't slip. I climbed fast. 10 feet. 20 feet. I wrapped the rope around the steel beams every few yards, creating anchors for Caro. I looked down. She was struggling. She was terrified. She was clinging to the beams, eyes squeezed shut, moving one hand at a time. "Keep moving!" I screamed. Then the building lurched. A massive groan vibrated through the steel skeleton. The tower dropped another degree. Caro lost her footing. She screamed, sliding off the beam. She fell 10 feet before the rope caught her. The jolt nearly pulled me off the wall. The rope dug into my waist. I looked down. She was dangling over the abyss. Nothing below her but thousands of feet of grey nothingness. "Climb!" I yelled. "Grab the beam!" She was flailing, spinning in the wind. She slammed against the glass of the spire. Crack! The glass panel she hit spiderwebbed. And then I saw it. Inside the glass. Inside the spire. The sludge. It had risen this high. The hollow core of the spire was filled with the grey paste. It was pressing against the glass from the inside. As Caro hung there, the cracked glass began to bulge. The sludge was trying to push out, to grab her. "Caro! The glass! Move!" She saw it. She scrambled, clawing at the steel beam, hauling herself up just as the glass burst. Whoosh! A geyser of grey slime shot out into the wind, missing her boots by inches. It sprayed into the air, freezing instantly into grey hail. She climbed faster then. Fear is a hell of a motivator. Log entry. Hour 8.5. We reached the maintenance deck at the base of the winch mechanism. Floor 100. We scrambled over the railing and collapsed on the steel grating. We were exposed. The winch mechanism is housed in an open-air cage. In the center was a massive drum, the size of a truck, wound with the black tether cable. "Okay," Caro gasped. She stumbled toward the control panel. "Okay." We initiate the descent sequence. The airship winches down to us. We board. We detach. She opened the control box. She stared at it. "No," she whispered. "What?" I pulled myself up. It's fused." I looked. The control panel wasn't electronic anymore. It was a block of grey stone. The buttons, the levers, the screen, everything had softened and then rehardened into a useless, amorphous lump. The infection had reached the controls. "Manual override." I shouted. "Is there a crank?" "Yes." She pointed to a large red wheel on the side of the drum. "But it's hydraulic assist. Without power." "We force it," I said. I ran to the wheel. I grabbed the spokes. "Help me." Caro grabbed the other side. 1, 2, pull. We strained. My muscles screamed. The wheel budged an inch. Creak. Again. We turned it. A foot. 2 feet. Above us, the cable shuddered. The massive drum turned slightly. We looked up into the clouds. "Come on," I whispered. Then we heard it. A sound from the sky. Thwack, thwack, thwack. Propellers. A shape descended from the mist. It was the skyhook. A massive, dirigible-like structure, silver and sleek. It was beautiful. It lowered toward us, fighting the wind. A boarding basket was dangling from its belly, swinging wildly. "It's coming," Caro yelled. She was crying. "It's actually coming." But the tower, the vertex, it gave another groan. This one was different. It wasn't steel bending. It was steel snapping. The vibration knocked us both down. I looked at the base of the spire, where we had just climbed up. The steel lattice was buckling. The grey sludge was pouring out of the broken windows below, eating the supports of the winch deck. The drum mechanism tilted. The cable, the tether connecting us to the airship, went slack for a second, then snapped taut with a violence that shook the world. Ping! The sound of a cable under too much tension. "The winch!" Caro screamed. The mounting bolts. Look. I looked at the floor of the deck. The bolts holding the massive cable drum were dissolving. The grey rot was bubbling up through the screw holes. If the drum rips loose, the airship flies away. And we fall. The boarding basket was still 50 feet above us, dropping slowly. Too slowly. We can't wait for it to land, I yelled. The deck won't hold. I looked at the cable. The thick, black tether rising from the drum to the ship. We have to climb the tether, I said. Caro looked at the cable. It was grease-covered steel wire, thick as a telephone pole. I can't climb that, she said. It's slick. It's vertical. I looked at my left hand. My infected hand. I flexed the fingers. They didn't feel like flesh anymore. They felt like clamps. I squeezed the railing next to me. Crunch. My hand crushed the steel pipe. I left a perfect indentation of my fingers in the metal. The infection. It was taking my humanity, but it was giving me something else. It was making me part of the substrate. Dense. Heavy. Strong. You can't, I said. But I can. I looked at Caro. Clip to me, I ordered. Tight. Leo. Clip to me. I'm going to carry you. She clipped her harness to the back of mine. Hold on, I said. And don't let go. I jumped onto the winch drum. I reached up and grabbed the black cable. My left hand sank into the wire. Not into it, but around it. The grey skin acted like a high-friction seal. I hung there, holding the weight of 2 people with one hand. I didn't feel pain. I felt connected. Climbing, I grunted. I pulled. We began to ascend the tether, dangling over the ruins of the world, as the tower beneath us began its final death spiral. I don't know if I'm climbing anymore. I think I'm just flowing upward. My left hand, the grey hand, doesn't feel the cold. The air temperature up here must be 20 below zero. My right hand, the human one, is numb inside its glove. I can barely feel the rope. But the left. Every time I reach up and grab the black cable, I feel a pulse. Not mine. The cable's. It's vibrating with the stress of the building below. And my hand answers. When I grip the wire, the grey skin on my palm softens. It spreads out like batter on a griddle, wrapping around the strands of steel. Then it hardens instantly, locking me in place. To move, I have to will it to let go. I have to mentally tear myself free. Re-up. It sounds like Velcro. Caro is dead weight on my harness. She's sobbing quietly. The wind is tossing us around like leaves on a string. Don't look down, I yell, though the wind steals the words. I look up. The belly of the sky hook is enormous. A silver whale floating in the mist. The boarding basket, a small aluminum cage suspended from the hull, is 50 feet above us. Just 50 feet. But the cable is shaking violently now. Below us, the Vertex Tower has lost the battle. Log entry, hour 9.25. The sound reaches us first. It's not a crash. It's a suction noise. A massive, wet gasp from the earth. Huunk. The cable we are climbing suddenly jerks downward. I scream as the sudden drop wrenches my shoulder. My left hand holds. It holds so tight I hear the bones in my wrist grind. If I had been holding on with my human hand, I would have fallen. The grey hand saved us. Leo! Caro shrieks. I look down. The Vertex Tower is gone. The dust cloud is rising, swirling like a hurricane eye. The tower has punched through the crust of the sludge and is plummeting into the deep mantle of the soft earth. But the winch on the 100th floor held. The bolts we saw dissolving, they held just long enough to drag the drum down with the building. The cable is still attached. We are not climbing a rope to safety. We are on a fishing line, and the vertex tower is the sinker, and it's pulling the airship down. I look up at the skyhook. The massive dirigible is nosediving. The engines are screaming, WHRR, trying to fight the weight of the sinking skyscraper. The basket is swinging wildly. Climb! I roar. We have to get off the line. I haul us up. One arm. Pull. Rip. Grip. Pull. My left arm is burning. Not with lactic acid, but with heat. The infection is reacting to the stress. I can see the grey patch on my neck spreading. I can feel it creeping across my jawline. My left eye is going blurry. 10 feet. 5 feet. I grab the metal railing of the boarding basket. Caro. Unclip. I haul her up. She scrambles over the lip of the basket, tumbling onto the metal floor. I try to follow. I can't let go of the cable. My left hand has fused. The stress of the climb, the heat of the friction. It melted the grey skin into the wire mesh of the cable. I am welded to the line. The airship lurches. We are dropping altitude fast. The clouds are rushing up past us. Leo. Caro grabs my jacket. She pulls. It won't release. I scream. I stare at my hand. It looks like a lump of clay molded around the wire. I have to break it. I take my right hand, my human hand, and I grab my left wrist. I twist. Crack. Pain, white hot and blinding, shoots up my shoulder. I broke the wrist. Or I tore the skin. I don't know. But the seal breaks. I fall backward into the basket. We are in the cage. We are safe. No, we are not. The basket is shaking. The airship is groaning. The frame of the Zeppelin is twisting. A loudspeaker on the hull crackles to life. Automated voice. Calm. Terrifying. Warning. Excessive payload detected. Altitude critical. Tether separation failed. It's dragging us down. Caro yells. She scrambles to the control panel in the corner of the basket. The release mechanism. It must be jammed. She punches buttons. Override. Override. Nothing happens. The button is dead. I look over the edge of the basket. The cable is taut as a steel rod. It disappears into the grey fog below. The weight of an entire skyscraper is hanging off the belly of this ship. The engines are whining, high-pitched and desperate. We aren't rising. We are sinking. The hull is going to tear, Caro says. She's looking at the stress gauges. Or the gas bag will rupture. We hit the mud in 2 minutes. Cut the cable, I say. I can't. She points to the connection point. The cable runs through a heavy steel locking mechanism attached to the bottom of the airship, right next to our basket. It's a massive steel claw, clamped shut. The hydraulic pin is stuck, Caro says. The mechanism is frozen. Probably the cold, or the damp. She looks around the basket. We need a torch. A saw. Anything. We have nothing. My squeegee is gone. My hammer is gone. We are going to die. We climbed all this way to drown in the sky. I look at the steel claw holding the cable. It's about 3 feet away from the basket railing. I look at my left arm. It's throbbing. It's huge. The sleeve of my jacket has split. The arm isn't just grey skin anymore. It has structure. It looks like the architectural renderings Caro showed me. It looks like bundled cable and rebar, made of flesh. It's heavy. When I move it, it moves with the momentum of a sledgehammer. I can open it, I say. Caro looks at me. She sees the arm. She recoils. Leo. What is that? It's the substrate, I whisper. It's density. I stand up. The wind is howling. The altimeter is dropping. 2,000 feet. 1,500 feet. I have to climb out, I say. You'll fall, Caro says. Clip me in. She attaches the lanyard to the basket rail. It's a short leash. Just enough to reach the mechanism. I climb over the railing. I am hanging in space again. Log entry. Hour 9.5. I swing over to the release mechanism. The steel claw is clamped tight around the cable. There is a manual release lever, a red iron bar on the side. I grab it with my right hand. I pull. It doesn't budge. Frozen solid. Hurry! Caro screams. 1,000 feet. I can see the grey ocean below now. It's churning. The impact of the tower has created a massive whirlpool of sludge. It's waiting for us. I switch hands. I put my left hand, the monster hand, on the lever. The sensation is instant. My hand doesn't feel the cold metal. It feels the lattice of the atoms. It recognizes the iron. Join. The voice in my head whispers. Be solid. No, I grunt. Not join. Break. I squeeze. My fingers mold around the lever. I feel the bones in my arm shifting, knitting together into a single, dense column. I pull. The metal of the lever groans. It starts to bend. But the locking pin is rusted shut. It needs more force. It needs a hammer blow. But I have no hammer. I am the hammer. I look at Caro. She is watching me through the mesh of the basket. Her face is pale. Leo! I have to hit it, I yell. I have to fuse it. I pull my arm back. I focus everything on the grey mass that used to be my hand. I think about the weight of the Omni Tower. I think about the stone lions at the library. I swing my fist. I don't punch the lever. I punch the pin directly. Wham! The impact shakes the basket. My hand shatters. Not bone. The outer shell of the grey stone cracks. But underneath, it's not blood. It's a dense, black fluid. But the pin moves. An inch. Again. The voice in my head screams. I swing again. Wham! The pin slides. The claw opens. Bang! The sound of the tension releasing is like a bomb going off. The black cable whips away, vanishing into the fog below. The skyhook, suddenly freed from millions of tons of dead weight, rockets upward. The G-force slams me against the bottom of the basket. My lanyard snaps taut. I am dangling below the basket, swinging in the slipstream as the airship ascends at 40 miles per hour. Leo! Caro is reaching through the bars. She grabs my jacket. Pull me up. I gasp. I try to reach up with my left arm. I can't lift it. It's too heavy. It weighs 100 pounds now. It's a dead anchor dragging on my shoulder. I can't. Caro is straining. You're too heavy. I look down. The grey ocean is receding. We are safe. We are flying. But I am hanging by a strap. and my arm is pulling me down. Cut the strap, I whisper. No. Caro screams. Climb. Use your legs. I try to hook my legs onto the basket frame, but the wind is too strong. I look at my left arm. The black fluid is dripping from the cracks. It's turning into grey dust in the wind. It's spreading. I can feel it in my chest now. The heaviness. My heart is beating slow. Thump. Thump. If I pull myself up, I bring the infection into the basket, into the ship. Leo, give me your hand. The good one. I look at Caro. She saved me in the stairwell. She got me this far. I reach up with my right hand. She grabs it. Her grip is surprisingly strong. I've got you, she sobs. I've got you. She pulls. I help with my legs. It takes an eternity. Inch by inch, we fight gravity. Finally, I hook an elbow over the rim, then a knee. I tumble into the basket floor, landing on my back. My left arm hits the metal floor with a sound like a bag of rocks. Clunk. We lay there, gasping, as the airship punches through the cloud layer and into the sun. Log entry, hour 10. We are inside the hull now. The basket retracted into the airship's bay. The airlock cycled. It's warm here. It smells like ozone and machine oil. I am sitting on a bench in the decontamination chamber. Caro is scanning me. She hasn't said a word in 5 minutes. She runs the scanner over my legs. Green. Over my chest. Yellow. Over my neck. Red. She points it at my left arm. The scanner doesn't beep. It just emits a low, steady drone. Error. Density infinite. She lowers the device. Well, I ask. My voice sounds different. Deeper. It vibrates in my skull. It stopped spreading, she says softly. That's good, right? No, Leo. It stopped spreading because it hit the bone marrow. It's integrated. She holds up a mirror. I look at my face. The grey patch on my neck has moved up. It covers my left cheek. My left ear is gone, just a smooth hole. And my left eye. The white of the eye is grey. The iris is black. I'm a statue, I whisper. You're a hybrid, she says. You're the first one who survived the transition without losing your mind. She reaches out and touches my grey hand. She doesn't flinch this time. Why? I ask. Because you fought it, she says. The others. They wanted to be soft. They surrendered. You're stubborn. You hardened. The intercom beeps. Approaching altitude 10,000 feet. Course set for the Appalachian Ridge. 4 hours. The Appalachians? I ask. Granite, Caro says. Old mountains. Hard rock. The sludge can't eat granite yet. That's where the survivors are going. I look at my arm. It's resting on my knee. It looks like a piece of armor, ancient and scarred. We have to warn them, I say. Warn them about the sludge? No, I say. I think about the concierge. I think about the piano playing itself. I think about the voice in my head that whispered join. We have to warn them that the earth isn't just hungry, I say. It's lonely. Log entry. Day 1. New world. My name is Leo Garris. I used to be a window cleaner. Now, I don't know what I am. I am looking out the viewport of the skyhook. Below us, the world is grey. The cities are gone. The roads are gone. But to the west, I see purple mountains, the Appalachians, islands of stone in the soft sea. I'm keeping this recording, not as a diary, but as a manual, because Caro says the sludge is evolving. She says the things that sank, they aren't dead. They are changing, and sooner or later, they are going to learn how to climb. And when they do, they'll find me waiting. I'm not soft anymore. I am the bedrock now.